Welcome to Canon Construction. A while ago, I asked you guys to send your Sonic-related hot takes my way at a chance of being discussed in a video, and here we are. But wait, what is a Sonic hot take? I'm defining that as a statement that, if posted online, would immediately start Sonic Twitter discourse. But I want to preface this video by saying that this is all in good fun. I'm an enthusiasm enthusiast, and I just want to have a good time with y'all. As someone who's on Twitter all the time, I see discourse like a lot. This is not to be that. We're going to casually discuss some points that you guys have sent me, not out of hate and cynicism, but out of love and passion for a series we all enjoy. Now, when I made the post asking for your hot takes, a lot of you guys send me cold, maybe lukewarm takes. A lot of you, for example, started to immediately talk about how Sonic 06 isn't all that bad, or it's pretty good, actually. And I feel like there are enough people who think that now, these 20 years later, that that's not really a hot take anymore. There were two mildly hot takes about other Sonic games' quality, so let's get those out of the way first. Sonic Colors is nowhere near as good as people make it out to be. I agree with this. Sonic Colors has always been one of my personal least favorite Sonic games, especially in the modern titles. Most people though, they like it. Sonic Colors is a solid 8 out of 10 across the board. But there are so many things in it that I just do not like. Double jump sucks. Story sucks. Boost sucks. Wisps, they suck. Sonic Colors was the first modern Sonic game to really add in the double jump. I believe the double jumps do not incentivize the level designers to use, and I'm going to use the M word here, so brace yourselves, momentum. Why run up from a distance to gain height when I can just press a button again? I don't think it's fun. There's an argument to be made that it only really exists in modern games with 2D segments, but let's look at that, right? Sonic Unleashed, no double jump, fun platforming. Sonic Colors, double jump, not fun platforming. Sonic Generations, no double jump, fun platforming. Sonic Forces, double jump, not fun platforming. Are we noticing a pattern here? The story is not good, but I feel like that's pretty standard for Pontac and Graph. People have complained about the story since the game has come out, to the point that even official media has referenced it. I don't feel the need to be the 1000th person to talk about that. But what I don't like that I never hear people talking about is the difference in plot depending on which version you play. Sonic Unleashed, for example, while still having different gameplay to run on the Wii's hardware, was the same plot no matter which version you played. In the Wii version, there was only Sonic, Tails, Eggman as two lackeys. In the DS version, I've actually written this down because I can't memorize it for the sake of the script. Sonic, Tails, Eggman, Orbot and Cubot, Amy, Big, Blaze, Cream, Cheese, Omega, Knuckles, Shadow, Rouge, Silver, the entirety of Team Chaotix, and a random Chao named Milk. Why? The setting doesn't even have the same name. In the Wii version, it's Dr. Eggman's Incredible Interstellar Amusement Park, while in the DS version, it's just called Egg Planet Park. These choices do nothing but create discord in the fandom. If I yelled into a group of Sonic fans which version of the game was canon, we'd have a fight on our hands. It's Wii. The boost and wisps, I don't want to spend too much time on. There's just not a whole lot to say there. The boost is just not really for me. I don't like its handling. And lastly is the wisps. Kind of like the writing of the game, I don't feel like I need to be the 1000th person to talk about how much I hate them. It's not really a hot take at all. I just don't like the wisps. They were fine in Colors, but they left. Why are they back? Leave. Sonic Forces isn't even that bad in my opinion. This is the other opinion about a Sonic game that I wanted to bring up. But as Sonic Forces is a solid 6 out of 10, this isn't really a hot take. I feel like it gets a lot more hate than it deserves though. I mean, don't get me wrong, I don't like it, but come on. Gave a Sonic X Hooters. When Sonic Forces came out in 2017, I thought that it was aggressively average. But now that it's the big 2.5, Sonic has had his movies and Frontiers and the Murder of and everything that's just launched it back into the positive view of the public, I had a little epiphany. I was like, wait a minute, Sonic Forces it's bad. The average quality of Sonic-related things has moved up. That's a good thing. Characters should die more. This is one of my own. I like Sonic, I swear. Give me a second. I don't like that certain stories can't be told or in-universe decisions can't be made due to the finances of the real-world company. Let me give you an example of this. Silver's entire trope is that he's from a ruined future that he's trying to fix. In Sonic 06, he does. He loses his best friend in the process, making it bittersweet, but it's a happy ending. The light comes down, the clouds part. In Forces, it's ruined again, so he has to come back and fix it. In IDW, it's ruined again, and again. Everything he does has to revolve around him fixing his future, because that's his brand. SEGA's never going to use him for anything but that plot point. Like, Eggman will never be thrown in jail because SEGA needs him to make money. No one will get an ending. I think things should end. I think stories need permanent consequences. The ramifications of choices made in narrative past makes better storytelling. And yes, I'm a big believer in Sonic wearing Chip's ring. I swear he keeps it at Tails' house for safekeeping or something. I am amazed that they killed off Starline for good. That's awesome. I wish they would do it for protagonists as well. My pick would be Knuckles. I like Knuckles. I just think if I could write my own Sonic narrative, in every version of it, I see Knuckles dying. I think him dying to protect the Master Emerald would be awesome. I think Infinite is a slightly better villain than Mephiles, and if he ever comes back in some way, SEGA needs to fully use the wasted potential. Alright, so I have a few notes with this one. I don't agree with Infinite being a better villain than Mephiles. That being said, I don't think it's an entirely fair comparison. Not only are their power levels in wildly different ranges, I don't think Infinite was written the way his character was meant to be portrayed. Mephiles is a master manipulator. His name literally comes from the devil Mephistopheles. In his game, he was literally a black shadow that egged on characters to do things not only not in their nature, but for his own evil purposes to achieve godhood. Infinite's just the leader of a mercenary team. They wrote him like a whiny little bastard, but would a guy who's the leader of a mercenary team, who we can assume has been trained to do this for many years, act like that? I want to say no to. Like I said earlier, I wish more characters would die. Infinite is one of those characters who has died, so I don't want him to be brought back. But I might as well mention while we're talking about this that I would like the character to die on screen instead of being confirmed dead in a spin-off material after he just leaves the scene. And 3, while SEGA will probably never come back to Infinite's character, I just finished playing Sonic Forces Overclocked like while writing this script, and dude, this is the writing and usage of the character that I think you really want. Green Hill should be in every Sonic game. I understand why you'd want this. Mario has its Mushroom Kingdom 1-1 plains. Kirby has Planet Popstars Green Greens with a big blistery tree at the end. It's a staple to their franchise and gets you in the mood to go on another whimsical platforming adventure. But I don't think Sonic should do this. The difference is world building. 1. The other game's settings are usually rather small. While Mario does have more stuff outside the Mushroom Kingdom to explore and have adventures in, like in Wonder, he almost never actually goes there. The story is almost entirely centered around the goings-on of the Mushroom Kingdom. 2, the main character usually lives in that area himself. Kirby's got a nice one bed, one bath, and all he wants to do is stay home, eat cake, and sleep. And I swear if you say Green Hill is Sonic's residence, it's not. 3, thematic world progression. We all know the typical Mario game layout. Plains, desert, ice, beach, yada yada, and then you end with Bowser's Castle in the big lava world. Sonic games don't do this. The closest thing we have is like a Green Hill clone at the beginning of a game before going off to a wildly different location. Archie Sonic, while extremely all over the map in terms of art and writing quality, and when it gets bad, it's also much more creative and risk-taking than the ultra on-brand and micromanaged IDW Sonic. Yes, okay, I get to talk about Archie for a bit. This might be a hot take in of itself, but I do not think Archie is as bad as people say it is when it gets to that level of bad. My reasoning lines up with another issue that I see on Twitter all the time when a poll is concerned. It's usually like, which comic is better, IDW Sonic or Archie Sonic? IDW is going to win that every single time. Not because it's better, but because so few people have actually read Archie to vote for it. I want to say the Sonic community has doubled in 2014, and less than 1% of that group has actually read Archie. It's really hard to get a hold of, let alone legally. There's a bunch of characters you don't know, and it's ridiculously long, like Guinness World Record long. And yes, it has a very rocky start, but if you can read it, please do. I would say you could just skip the beginning, but you really shouldn't. Once you get past the zany beginning, Archie's stories are at the exact same level of IDW, if not better, most of the time. I love IDW's Battle for Angel Island and the Metal Virus arc, and Archie Sonic is just as good all the time. Now about the micromanaged IDW Sonic, I agree. But why is worth talking about? I love canon stories. Again, canon means permanent consequences. So I was thrilled when IDW started coming out, taking place only a few months, I think 2, after Forces ended. That's awesome! So why am I not happy? That is the micromanaged part. IDW being canon has stopped being a boon of the series and now has become somewhat of a hindrance. The difference is night and day. I mean, Archie's world building was crazy big. I'll give you an example. SBO is the son of the Bride of Constant Vigil, figurehead of the Shinobi clan in the Dragon Kingdom of the East. That's a lot of nouns, but each one has a ton of backstory to it. In IDW, he's just kind of a guy who knows ninjutsu somehow, living in a big city. I think what proves this point best is that Archie will happily give you a map of the terrain, or tell you the exact distance between 2 different settings. The only map we've gotten in IDW was designed to be unreliable, drawn in crayon by 6-year-old Cream the Rabbit. IDW can't let you know any of its specifics because it's canon. The Archie comic characters are really overhyped. I don't find the Chao interesting, and they're more depressing than cute. I get this. Look, as a kid when I bought Sonic Adventure 2, I wanted high-stakes speed platforming, and I'm already only getting a third of that because of all the shoot-'em-up and treasure hunting stages. I don't also want to take up my time with a pet simulator. As for the depressing part, if you know anything about the lore of the ancients, or if you watch my shorts, which you totally should, then you know the Chao are the current state of their original species. They went from being a super civilization to literal infants, and that's kinda sad. Blaze is Sonic's equal. This is a take I hear frequently whenever Sonic and Blaze are talked about in the same area. I think Ian Flynn maybe mentioned this once in a Bumble class. Bumble class. That's how it feels. And now everyone online just kind of thinks it. I do not get it. She's not as fast as he is. She's fire-based while he's wind-based. She's shy and reserved while he's outgoing and talkative. She's a luxurious monarch while he's an unmaterialistic hobo. Aside from occasionally battling an Eggman, the only real thing they have in common is they're both good guys. Honestly, they're more close to opposites than they are equals. Sonic fighting bad guys because of his personal ideals and not for the greater good is lame. This is definitely a take from IDW. I'll be honest, I have not liked the idea that Sonic only fights Eggman because Eggman's way of life negatively imposes on others. The idea that he wants freedom for everyone no matter what, to the point where he doesn't want to put anyone in jail, I think is maddening. I want Sonic to protect others who can't protect themselves because he's a hero. Maybe it's just the shonen in me, but I want Sonic to fight bad guys because they're bad guys. Sonic should be more mature. A lot of people say Sonic is a kid's series, and sure, a majority of the audience is. But it's a 30-year-old series. You have some fans pushing 40 now. I would say Sonic has stuff for each generation, whether it be Sonic and Friends for babies, Sonic Prime for... and the games for teens and adults. Okay, in the defense of Sonic Prime, it had the capability of being one of the most mature plots we've actually ever had. Sonic broke the shatter whatever, and in doing so, created essentially life, versions of these characters that are totally separate. They have their different histories, different sense of self, they are very much alive. We could have seen a story where Sonic has to contemplate whether or not it's okay to commit what is basically genocide to fix a mistake he made because of his impatience. That's really heavy. We didn't get that, but this take isn't about Sonic Prime, so I'll move on. All I'm saying about the maturity thing is that you made Shadow the Hedgehog 2005. It might be rough around the edges, but it's a good game. Let them bleed when they get hurt. I promise your audience can handle this. If Puss in Boots can do it, so can you. Almost every one of the backgrounds for these characters that people like are the ones that are either really deep or tragic. I've always said this, Sonic characters thrive on dark situations. The Metal Virus arc is one of the best Sonic stories we've ever had. And give them guns back. I don't think removing guns from everything that had them initially is a good thing, even with a kid's audience. What makes me laugh is that in the original Sonic movie, they had actual handguns, like one was even fired at some point, I think by Wade. In Sonic 2, only tasers. And it's so anticlimactic, I cannot take it seriously. Sonic 3 at least tried by giving them laser guns, but My biggest gripe on the maturity gun topic is Knack the Weasel. He's a professional killer and you've given him a cork gun? Why? In Archie, he was either using an actual handgun or a sniper rifle. Here's the final take. Ageless characters are a bad idea. I wouldn't say it's a bad idea per se, but I can understand where you're coming from. Personally, I don't want ageless characters. I want them to age. I guess this is just me saying that I want permanent consequences again. Games like Forces gave us an actual timeline. In-universe things like Little Planet appear in set intervals. Time does pass in this universe. They have stated that many times. For important events to happen, there needs to be time for them to do so. Your stories hold more weight because we don't have all the time in the world. I've actually aired this opinion online, and one of the responses I've got has always stuck with me, which is, "Oh, you want to see Sonic old? Well, we don't." No, I'm not saying that. If you put down all of Sonic's adventures in a timeline starting at age 15, he'd be maybe around 21 at this point. And that's with 30 years of content. That's an in-universe span of 6 years, with one of those years pretty much being taken up entirely by Forces with its 9-month span. 21 is the beginning of someone's physical prime, and honestly, with everyone wanting a new 3D model and Roger's different voice direction frontiers, I would love to see these characters aged up a bit. At least let Cream and Charmy age up a little bit. I'm afraid they'll be babies forever. Sonic was 15, or 16, or something else depending on who you ask. And much like Color's plot, if you change something to be nebulous on purpose instead of giving a defined answer, it does nothing but create discoordination in the fanbase, and I don't like that. I like us working together. Seriously, we need to. We're gonna lose to Genshin Impact for the 3rd year in a row if we don't. As I close out, I want to remind you guys that the internet can be very mean sometimes. Sonic Twitter has the reputation it does because people are so quick to anger. Regardless of what side of an opinion we're on, insulting people is never the way to go. So thanks for sitting back and listening to me talk about your opinions that you so graciously provided. And thank you for getting me to 1,000 subscribers. I think it's crazy that people actively want to watch my stuff. If you haven't already, go ahead and follow me on Twitch or Twitter or Blue Sky or whatever. I have them all up. I'll be streaming a lot more soon, probably here on YouTube, and we'll do all sorts of stuff, whether it be art streams, I'm an artist, or gaming stuff. All right, I'll see you guys in the morning at 11 a.m. Eastern Time for your daily short. So that's that. Laters.